Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another stream here at oNiD Racing. Tonight marks the first race of the SimHound Academy on LMU, Le Mans Ultimate. Joining me tonight, we have Scotty. It is true. I said you look at GT3s and think it's the same. It's not. It's a completely different game. We also have a mixture of class. We have LMP2s here, which there has been a pretty steep learning curve for them. No ABS, high downforce cars. It's going to be interesting, especially at the track we're at Monza. This is the Curva Grande variant, so there is no first chicane. Yeah, it's going to be fun, if anything. Let's hope it's a clean race, though.
Yeah, let's hope so indeed. And I realised, thanks to this pointing out in chat, I forgot to unmute myself before I said all of that. So, sorry. Yes, I am here. Sam will be taking us for the rest of the season, but he unfortunately cannot make this week. So I'm just keeping the seat warm, let's say, for this week as we get into this first season. And we are getting started with qualifying. Now, we have a 15-minute qualifying session solo or private qualifying session, so everyone is out on their own. And then we will have a 15-minute race, which might have some fuel saving for the GT3s. LMP2s are going to need to make a pit stop, but before we get too bogged down in strategy talk, let's think about the lap times. Drivers should be finishing their flying laps now. So let us start watching Matthias Fuskin as they come to the end of their lap, just about to start their first flying lap.
It will be interesting. Looking at, obviously, with the SimHound Academy, we have coaching sessions where the drivers, because the academy is tailored towards newer drivers, let's just say. So these coaching sessions, looking at the pace difference, is around 10 seconds a lap around here, which means the LMP2s will also lap the GT3s at some point. I can't wait. I love a chaotic race, and this is what this is going to be. I'm looking forward to this. But as we see Fuskin through the first but second chicane, coming up to the first Lesmo, turned in nicely on the power. Everything is looking good up to now. Let's see if he can keep it all together. Oh, commentator's curse there.
Very much indeed. Spinning off for the second Lesmo. Let's see if we can find someone else who is on a lap. Ryan Davies saying purple sectors at the moment, mainly because no one else has set a lap yet. But
that was a backhanded compliment if ever I've heard one, Scotty.
It's true, you know. It's can't say much more than the truth. But we nicely first time in from Vesparis. 130.7 is our benchmark. But of course, the drivers will have to get their tyres up to optimal temperature. Might be a little difficult around here with how long the straights are. But it's P4 at the moment for them. Let's see what other drivers. Matthias here coming towards Parabolica. Heavy onto the brakes, gets the car turned in reasonably well, though they're about 6.5 tenths down as of the middle sector. Up to the line, where will they put themselves?
And he goes over the line. He is
invalidated, perhaps.
Oh,
Must have
yes.
invalidated. Let's see. Let's go to some of our GT3 runners. Go look at Tim Bob coming through the final corner. Looks like might be on a bit of a slow lap here, having made a mistake. Just confirm, drivers tonight, do they have tyre warmers, or are they going to have to, or are they also learning the fun, let's say, that is the cool tyres on LMU?
Tyre warmers were discussed, but because I am a cruel person, I said throw them in the deep end. No tyre warmers, as far as I'm aware, unless Stevie Bain has had one over on me. They're gonna it's gonna take a couple of laps to warm up the tyres properly, I would assume, because as far as I'm aware, there is no tyre warmers. Yeah, so these times should come tumbling down as the session goes on. Should they not turn their tyres into 50 pence pieces, which is a possibility in the LMP2s. As we watch Ben Law come across P6. Still a second and a half off Leon Vispris, who has put a great lap in.
It is a good lap. Fuskin here on another bad lap, losing 7 seconds in the middle sector. But Matthias is coming up to line. Hopefully this lap is valid. Cross line it is, and up to P6, 1.5 seconds. So to find to Vesparis, who I believe is on another lap here. 1,000th slower in the opening sector, which is to be expected. It is just the Curve Grande that makes up first sector, but 1/10.5 up in the middle sector. They're starting to get into a groove, good groove here.
Leon is going well. I know he's been putting a bit of practice in. He wants to get the hang of these cars. He's only really been used to GT3 driving with ACC, but he's been excited to learn the high downforce cars, and as you can tell, he's been putting a lot of practice in. He is 6/10 ahead of Harkonnen, who was no slouch. And as we see him come past the line now, he has improved slightly, but that wasn't the best last sector.
No, it's not the best indeed. Let's start to have a little look at our GT3 fields. Nazarian coming through this guy chicane, currently sitting in second. Fastest opening sector here, 10th up, but losing 2/10 in the middle sector. Can they find that 10th they need to put themselves on provisional pole? Take away from Rooney, currently staying top of the times in the Porsche. They come through the Parabolica, and it's the run to the line now. Is a little bit slower here in the GT3s. And across line, it is an improvement, but Dot misses out just under a 10th.
That is quite close. That is one hell of a lap from Rooney, by the way, around here in the Porsche. The Porsche is not the quickest kind of straight line, and this track is all straight lines. He's done extremely well. And as we watch Olaf Badid, if I butcher anyone's name tonight, I straight up apologise. I'm Northern, I say things how I say them. But that is P12, and as we've just seen Noel Doige and Paul Prescott jump up the standings, still a second off pole, but still P4 and P5.
P4, P5. Got Bruce here coming to the end for the lap, though it looks like they're practicing a pit entry. So we will find someone else to watch. You know what, let's head back to our LMP2s for a moment, as Ollie Knowles puts themselves up to P3 within the class. Ben Law, bit of a poor middle sector here. Can they improve in the final sector? No, not improving at the end of this lap. They'll go on for another lap.
Which is a shame, because purple first sector. Let's see if they can get it right this next go round.
Yeah, let's just jump on board as they go round the Parabolica, flat out near the rev limit, not quite on it, but close. And then heavy braking for turn 2, probably the most difficult of the track, sliding the car through the second, or first chicane in this instance, after seeing another purple opening sector. Just follow on board, see if they can sort of get to grips with this middle sector, the most technical part of the lap.
It's crazy how he still managed to get a purple first sector with that snap of oversteer coming out of the chicane, but will that affect him in the second sector? We should be crossing the line in a second. Yeah. 4/10 potentially lost.
It's still a personal best, having now dropped down to P5 behind Matthias. It's run to Parabolica. Is that less than 4/10 down, so could slot themselves into second if they're able to match Vespera's final sector.
Nice one line, looking good up to now. We should be cutting to the right, make the run as short as possible, and we have P3. That is not a bad lap at all, and was it not for that slight mistake coming out the chicane, he could have challenged Vespers at the top.
Could have. Let's try and find someone else who is on a lap. Brian Anderson, our only driver of the session, still to set a valid lap. Maybe struggling with the big braking zones around Monza here. Coming into the Parabolica in their Ferrari 296. Seems like a good line. Whether it's quick or not, we'll have to see as they come up to the line. Already losing quite a few seconds in the middle sector, so maybe, as I said, just still trying to gain confidence. But it is a valid lap, and sorry, that's compared to GT LMP2, so it is a competitive lap. Slots them in 25th by 1.5 seconds off the top GT3 time.
Not a bad lap from Brian. He's going round again. The beauty of LMU with you needing to warm the tyres up is you put a couple of laps of fuel in, and by you can do a good few, maybe 5-6 runs round as the fuel load lightens. The times come down, apart sadly Nathan Turner has had a horrific middle sector. But he's still got time. If he's got fuel, he can have another go around. When he had a personal best first sector, and we'll watch him come round the parabolica. Tricky turn. People say, "Oh, Monza's just a straight with a bunch of corners." The corners aren't the easiest. The problem is if you get the line wrong because there's a straight afterwards, you just lose so much time. And we watch Turner come across. There will be no improvement here, but you get to have another go around.
Yeah, let's jump on board with Rooney, who's actually invalidated this lap. So we'll find someone else. Noel here in another Porsche. It's currently sitting P4. 2 personal bests to open up the lap, sliding the car into the sky chicane all over that first curb, over the second curb as well. Very lot of confidence over those curbs, which can certainly catch you out, can make the car a bit snappy. But now demoted to P5 by Basker, jumping up to 4th. Can Noel reclaim or maybe even get themselves into the top 3? Just the parabolica left to go here, sliding a little bit on the exit. Trying to put that Porsche power down from the inline engine that sits at the rear of the car. Of course, up to the line now doesn't improve over the lap with a bit of a poor final sector, and will now drop to P6 as Savic puts himself up to P3.
Yeah, that little slide around the parabolica looked like it cost Doige a bit. It's good to see Doige back race. I haven't seen him for a while. But Max Savchuk here, great lap, only 3/10 off pole. He's going round again as we watch him come into the first but second chicane. Yeah, I don't think he's had a great first sector. Oh no, it's changed. He's gone purple. And he keep this together.
Sometimes the graphics are a little confusing here when you're switching between the classes. But yes, using all of the curb right up to the gravel out of Lesmo 1. Again, all the curb on the apex maybe compromised them as the car bounced over there. Wasn't very settled. So we'll have to see what the middle sector time is like in a moment. 3/10 off the pole time at the moment, set by Rooney still. Up to Sky here. Yeah, per middle sector with bouncing over the curbs.
That is a big time lock continuing. It looked bad, but not that bad. And this is where we say, if you don't get the corner right, you suffer on the straight. And as you've seen, that's a second time loss almost.
Yeah,
but coming round, you might get another go. Got plenty of time.
Yeah, we'll have time for another go. But I think having lost a second in the middle sector, won't be able to recover this lap. Actually went to the pit lane there, doesn't have the fuel. Noel sets in another lap, but doesn't improve this time. Starting to see quite a few people in the pit lane. So we'll go to some of the LMP2s. Otto Harkinen trying to set themselves on pole position. It's a good opening sector, nearly a 10th, which is a lot of time for a sector that's completely flat out. That's showing a good exit from Parabolica. But how is the middle sector? It's a personal best, but it's 2/10 off of Vesparis. That means they're only a 10th down at the end of that middle sector. Good final sector here, and they can maybe claim pole, but at least maybe give themselves a bit of a bigger gap to those LMP2s behind them.
That is true, as we see Harkinen come round the Parabolica. Looks clean, running a bit wide. You need to cut back across to make the run to the line a bit shorter. Oh, and he's abandoned the lap.
As
we see, Max Farrell with a purple opening.
I think the lap is invalidated. No middle sector time has come up, and we're in the final corner.
Yep, to the pits.
Let's see, Paulo Grady on a valid lap here into Parabolica. A bit slow in the opening sector, didn't get a good launch off Parabolica, but personal best middle sector. Can they get themselves towards the top 5? 1.1 seconds off at the moment. Across the line. doesn't improve in the end, unfortunately for them. So they'll have to settle for P7.
So Aidan Howard coming around the parabolic. Dreadful middle sector. Very wide on the exit of the parabolica. Is there an improvement from 12? No. Terrible final sector as well. Aidan won't be happy with that. But as we see Dean Smith on 2 personal bests coming around the parabolica. Currently 16th. Will this move Dean up? It has 2 positions. Good going from Dean Smith.
Good going indeed on that final lap. Puts themselves up 1 row, and we have a GT3 here. Nathan Turner coming up to the line, personal best middle sector, but loses time in the final sector and will finish at P10 within the class. And I believe that is all of our drivers finished for the session. So I believe if I press this button,
Wait and see what the button does.
let's see.
Yes. There we are.
Can bring up the qualifying results. There is our top 10 within the LMP2 field, led by Leon Vesparas, Otto Harkinen and Ben Law rounding out the top 3. And looking a little further down as we wait for the session to tick over.
There's Brendan Rooney, great thing with Hobsep just behind, with Max Savchuk rounding out the top 3 for the GT3s. As Scotty said, as we wait for the session to start. Rounding off the grid here.
Go to the grid for a race
everyone, all the cars parked in the garage at the moment, waiting for the grid formation, which will come around quicker than expected. Nice to see a Spike the Dragon there. The best livery of the other LMP2s. But yeah, as the drivers know, but we'll say it is perfect track conditions tonight. There's no rain due, good temperatures, dry. This should be a flat out race. As we can see the grid order coming up on the screen. We've missed the first few, but we'll go with Aquadin in 5, Baton Fatoy in 6, Paulo Grady 7th, Max Farrell in 8th, Ryan Davies P9 and Kevin Hunter P10. That rounds out the top 10. Matt Hagan in P11 with Aidan Howard in P12. Matthias Fusigan P13 and Dean Smith in P14. Who else we have? Terry Williams P15 and Jarrett Page in the glorious Spike the Dragon livery in P16. Now to the GT3s. Do you want to take this away, Scotty?
Rooney is on pole position in the Porsche alongside the Ferrari of Nazarian. Max Chavak rounds out the top 3 in the Aston Martin. And Paul Prescott makes it 4 manufacturers in the top 4, and it's 5 in the top 5 actually, with Basker in the Mustang in 5th. Noel Deutsch will go off P6 in class, with Tim Bob in the first McLaren taking P7. Brian Anderson P8 in the Ferrari. Mark Bryson will be P9, and Nathan Turner rounding out the top 10. Norman Bruce is in P11 with Jack Watson P12, Bemite 13th, Ian Holder 14th, and Olaf Badej rounds out our GT3 field. We are getting ready for the start of the race here, as the drivers coming up to the line. They get the green flag signal, and it is go here for the start of the race, and already trying to go nearly 4 wide as they head down towards the Curve de Grande, which will be the first turn, remember, for this race. Everyone trying to find a bit of track position as they prepare to go flat out through here. Ben Law looking to the inside of the Vesparas, trying to take the lead as they head towards the first braking zone.
It is everyone on cold tyres and cold brakes here. They have to get this braking point correct, otherwise we're going to have absolute carnage. Ben Law going off track, just missed his braking point slightly, which has let Otto Harkinen have a little go. tries to send it round the outside. Still too wide through. Well, yeah, 2 cars through there. But this is giving Vespers a chance to run away while P2 and 3 have a fight. And look at them all bunched together, coming to a Ascari. This is going to be great to watch.
Yeah, side by side as they head in, looking at Matthias. Trying to fight with Vertoy, but lost out that position. And we've got Karov in the background. Is that, I think that's Paul O'Grady, who's dropped down now to P12 within the class. So they'll be a bit disappointed with that, having qualified 5 places further up in P7.
Is a slight dip of the wheels on the gravel. Thankfully he's held it and not binned it into the wall, but his penalty for that is he has lost some places. As his quality pace showed, though, he has good pace, he can make up some things. As Brendan Rooney got a 1.3 second gap to Hovsep, who has Paul Prescott looking down on the back of him in that Corvette. I would assume the Corvette would eat the Ferrari on the straight, if I'm completely honest. But Rooney has qualified P1, stayed P1. Keeps up, he might have a comfortable race.
Mike D is pulling away. Looking a little further back. Paul Prescott trying to put Nazarian under pressure. Losing a little bit of time in the braking zone. I love the GT3 still surf in this train, not spreading out too much.
No, with them all having the slipstream, as we see here, it does create a train, gives people opportunity in the heavy braking zones to make a move. As we watch Fuse getting P10, following round, all it takes is a good exit out of the corner, and he's right on the back for Toy.
Yeah, Vertoy making a mistake. They're running a bit wide out of the Sky chicane, and that has allowed Matthias to get up to top 5. And that's a car that's Harkonnen in, going slowly.
I'm wondering, as Harkonnen had a bad exit, he has someone, I'm not sure it is, who's right behind him approaching at speed.
Let's go on board with Harkonnen and see if we can figure out what's maybe going on here with our LMP2 driver that started on the front row.
He has good speed going down the straight. Oh, car 33 there, nipping up the inside. Harkonnen clearly having some issues after a great qualifying session.
Yeah, that was Max Farrell that came past for P6 and made it look relatively easy in the braking zone.
Harkonnen probably had a heart attack that Max Farrell was behind him, because I know most of our oNiD drivers do. But Harkonnen has got a great exit here out of Lesmo 2 on the back of Max Farrell. Max giving him just enough room, then closes the door as they approach the Ascari chicane. It's all about the exit here. Ball beating is good, but the car in front of Farrell Toy had another bad exit from the Ascari. Not liking that corner. Oh. This is... Funnily enough, this is what we spoke about before the race, Scotty.
It is cars not having a rear wing. Try and get a replay of it here. Spinning on the exit of Curve Grande. Interesting. Maybe we can, if we look a little further back, try and get a replay here of what happened. No.
Yeah, they've come round Curve Grande, lost the back, hit that wall pretty hard, and as you know, and we can explain to the people watching, once that rear wing has gone, it's useless. It really is. You can't go at any speed. Looks like he has damaged steering. This is not a good moment for Noel Doige.
Yeah, I also just noticed they're not the only one with a rear wing. Jared Page dropping down the order. They also have lost a rear wing. I think we might be able to get a replay of what happened here. If we can maybe get a better angle, no, unfortunately.
No, slow. Safely back to the pits though. Get back in his pit box, get a new rear wing put on. It'll take a bit of time, but that is the consequence of crashing your car. And then you can get back out safely on track. As we watch Paul O'Grady sticking to the back of Ollie Knowles, will the slipstream make a difference here? Looks like it.
Look to the inside of Parbolka. Do they have the confidence under braking to make the move work? Looks like they do. Ollie Knowles trying to hang it around the outside, not able to carry the momentum, and jumps back quite a bit and is now coming under pressure from Kevin Hunter, and actually into the pits for Ollie Knowles. Bit of an early pit stop, I would say, here.
Very early. You're more of an LMP2 specialist than me, Scotty. If he pits now and goes full, will he make it to the end of the race?
I think he will need to save fuel to make it to the end here. So, you know, I really wanted to go sort of 5 more minutes, I would say, to try and get home safely flat out. So it is a risky strategy, and yeah, could be a bit quite costly towards the end of this race.
He's either going to be a genius or a dunce. Time will tell.
Time will tell indeed.
Oh!
As Kevin Hunter's losing the rear, locking the brakes most likely, spinning off into the gravel at Les Mouteux.
That's what happens when you have no ABS and you're on the brakes a bit too hard. The rears don't want to play ball and it throws you off like that, as we see on board. We'll get a good view of what's happened. Hit the brake. Rears haven't like locked up and he'll have a nice flat spot on his tyre.
So let's go back to the live action. Let's we'll look at, if I see the settings right, Otto Harkinen trying to chase down Max Farrell after that sort of couple of issues that they've had. Harkinen's fastest lap, only a 32.9. Everyone else, Ben Law up in second now, 32.0. Visparas down in a 31.1, dominating this race so far. Harkinen seems to be struggling for race pace compared to what they were able to do in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm wondering, does he have an issue? Is the full fuel load affecting the car? I know a lot of drivers just practice with quali fueling and the car behaves very differently when you've got full fuel. We do have a yellow flag somewhere on track. Not quite up. There we are. Ollie Knowles. Not having the greatest of races is Ollie.
Trying a replay here. Just dipped a wheel onto the grass and into the wall very heavily. That's going to be a lot of damage for them.
Yeah, that was a big old crash. I dread to think the amount of damage that has caused. You can tell looking at how it's driving, it's not in great shape. Hopefully he can get back to the pit safely, get fixed. He's lucky he didn't lose a wheel or something.
Yeah, he is. But we'll come back to the action. Paul O'Grady trying to make a move on Ryan Davies for P7. Bit of slipstream coming on to start finish straight and has got themselves just in front. But maybe will Davies try and hang it round the outside of Curve Grande. Should still be easy flat out for both drivers, but it's all about the braking zone into the chicane now. Ryan Davies is still there, has pulled back a bit, and if they can get slowed down here, they've reclaimed P7. Paul O'Grady's going to have to try another time here. They might have a run towards Lesmo 1. They're looking to the inside. Davies squeezing them, and O'Grady backing out in the end, with Aidan Harn not following closely behind, maybe waiting for an opportunity to pick one or two of these drivers off should the battling continue.
Great racing from Brady and Davies there. Davies being brave, hanging it around the outside, paid off in the end. But O'Grady's staying close to him, and depending how we get the exit out of Ascari here, O'Grady has a great exit right behind. Could he try get another move done into Parabolica? He's close.
And the slipstream looks to the inside at the last moment, trying to put the pressure on Davies, force him into mistake, but Davies holding stern for now. Again, into slipstream for O'Grady. Will they have another go towards Curva Grande, or will they think more about the first chicane? Ferrari that they're catching up to as well from the GT3 class could be a bit awkward depending where they catch Ferrari. The slipstream to the inside for O'Grady again at the Curva Grande. Little side-by-side contact, but they'll get away with that. Again, it's going to come down to the braking into the chicane. Can Davies repeat what they did last week? O'Grady's going to fight this one a little bit more, but he's a little too on the brakes, a little too wide, and gives the opportunity here to Aiden Hard. Looking to that smoke one. Aiden not coming to the move, is going to wait for maybe a better opportunity as they come up upon that GT3 Ferrari.
Oh, the GT3 Ferrari causing a bit of trouble. Everyone through cleanly, but that has put Davies back onto O'Grady. That's just a slight bit of traffic, which now got great. These are going to be fighting all afternoon. Oh, nearly. O'Grady not having the best racing line through Ascari, which has given Aiden Howard a great run. The speed difference here that he should have this done by the Parabolica.
Gets the nose in front, and O'Grady try and hold it around the outside just a little bit too wide. Will not going to be come under pressure from Matthias Fuskin, who's right behind, and will be picking up that slipstream, also being followed by Matt Hagen. But Ryan Davies starting to break away out front. So from being the hunter for Paul O'Grady, they've now become the hunted from the cars behind them.
There's some great race in this LMP2 category. It's been great to watch.
Well, let's have a little look at our GT3 pack. Savic in the slipstream here has a bit of a tough race so far. Has lost 3 positions from where they started within the GT3 class. Trying to use slipstream to get ahead of Tim Bob. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to pull a move off this slab, but Tim Bob's ran wide, has actually given the place up for free.
Yep, that is. There's also some LMP2 coming through. Bit of a mistake from Tim Bob, getting a bit too close to the curb through Ascari, which has let Savchuk just glide around the outside. Really, actually, Ian Holder having a bit.
That's Matthias Fuskin into the wall of the LMP2s, as well as Ian Holder. Heavy hit for both drivers into the wall, and they'll have to be crabbing around to make it to pit lane, repair those damage. Going to be difficult here for Holder to get themselves back on track. They've thankfully found a bit of a gap to get across, and yeah, it's going to be a crawl to pit lane for both of these drivers.
Yeah, that was a big hit. The only shining light of the situation for both drivers is if they pit now and get repaired, they should make it to the end of the race on the fuel that they have. But that was a big hit. I bet it was a shock for them, to be fair. As we watch Holder staying off the racing line, being sensible.
Yeah, heavy hit.
Yeah, thankfully the front of his car, so he's kept his rear wing, but I can imagine the suspension damage will be catastrophic.
Yeah, another GT3 battle we have here. Basker already up a couple of positions so far this race, trying to improve that further to get second from Narzan, who runs a little bit wide coming out of his sky, but thanks to the LMP2s, we see an instant in the background. That is not.
It was a Spike the Dragon livery, not Matt Hagen. Who's the other Spike the Dragon? Is it Jarrett Page? Yes, it is. Waiting for the traffic to clear to get back on track. Nicely done. Yeah, he had an incident with the green and yellow one. Is it the Interpol car?
let's see here. Oh, loses it themselves on the curb. And the Interpol car following heavy into the wall.
I'm wondering if Page spinning has just put them off that little bit. And yeah, that looked like a nasty knock.
I wonder if it... I think it was Ben Law who's now fighting to try and hold on to P3. Remember, they were P2 not too long ago, and now they've fallen down to P4 for Toy, getting passed into the top 3. I think that was Ben Law.
Oh, that is an interesting one. Ben Law having a great race. Is this Law we're watching now?
Yes, this is Law. Let's go on board helmet cam. And you can just see the Spike livery car in front.
Yeah.
Coming round, blinded by the smoke, decided not to take to the apex, but was ultimately the wrong decision. Had to get into the wall to avoid the Spike livery car. And yeah, unfortunately, is now starting to drop down.
That is such a shame for Ben Law. He thought he was doing the safe thing, going round the outside, which ended up being the wrong choice. That is not a nice place for Baskar to be trying to do a U-turn. He's doing a great Austin Powers impression though, if we're being completely honest, back and forth a lot. And he has resafed jointly. That's just unlucky. Baskar was having a great race. He was just behind Nazarian at one point.
Yeah, unfortunately a little late. Let's see. Here we go.
As we watch this, we've got Kev in the chat. Morning from Adelaide. Whoa. Down under. Nice to have you watching the stream. Oh, Baskar just lost the back end.
I must say, well done to the LMP2 following to avoid that and just sort of slot the gap between the Mustang and the wall before it closed. And fair play to Baskar, that was very tedious. This is what, like a 15-point turn, trying to get the car unstuck. It doesn't look stuck, but Baskar really can't reverse any more than they are, because then they'll go into the racing line. Someone will absolutely T-bone and probably steal their rear left wheel. We've seen sort of a similar scenario to that Interlagos last week in one of our gold social races. But yeah, it does well to get free. Hopefully doesn't have too much damage on the front end of that car, but it is plenty of time lost. Down to 8th within the GT3 class and pulling over a little bit, but they have continued as we'll cut back to live images. You can see them continuing here.
Is not Baskar having a great race? Sadly, even if he hasn't been much damage caused, the time loss is enough. Went from P3 down to where they're at now. Just was it Domo the Russian in the chat? Nice of you to join us, as this is where the amateurs of ACC went. That is correct. This is the academy, but we are now on LMU. As we watch Paul O'Grady there on the brakes, chasing down Aidan Howard. Bit of a snap of oversteer on the exit. Can he keep close enough to maintain the slipstream down the next straight? As we watch the crash cam.
Crash cam, hopefully no crashes involved here as we get the telemetry up for O'Grady behind Aidan Howard after that attempt to get past. Who was it they were trying to pass?
Well, O'Grady, it's Aidan Howard in front, isn't it?
Yeah, but Howard passed him. Oh, yeah, big snap and a lot of momentum loss for Aidan Howard, but...
Oh, there's a bit of a lift here. Is there a yellow flag in the area? I don't see it. Yeah, everyone's slowed down in front. Oh, is that just GT3 traffic?
That's GT3 traffic. Hopefully none of them are about to come into the pits as the LMP2s pass on the pit entry side. But in slipstream again for Paul O'Grady. who is lifting a little, is lifting down this straight. Sort of seems like Paul Grady's not too keen to pass here, which is an odd one.
I don't quite understand that. He has the ample opportunity to make the pass, but for whatever reason isn't. Oh, bit deep on the brakes. Does a good job of the chicane though. It's let Aidan Howard get away a bit, but the mystery of lifting, I wonder what's gone on.
I wonder as well. I mean, if we're really curious, I hear Hydra's in a VC that you can maybe pop in and ask him yourself if you want to do some reconnaissance.
Yeah, give me a second, I'll see what I can find. Where are we? Give me a second.
Alright, so as Dave goes and do some reconnaissance, we're going to have a little look at Otto Harkonnen, who's trying to chase down Max Farrell for P5. We still don't know what was happening with Otto Harkonnen as well, as they were running sort of a little slowly, lost a few positions earlier on in the race. Big snap, multiple snaps as they come out of Parabolica, trying to chase down Farrell in the slipstream now. Are they close enough? Will they get enough of a run? Remember, Farrell sort of made a slipstream pass just before they got into... Well, let's hope that Dave's reconnaissance hasn't got anything to do with what we've just caught up with.
I've had the blame, don't worry. O'Grady was happy to stay behind Aidan on the straight, is what his excuse was, and then all I heard was some profanity and he crashed and I got the blame for it.
Well, we've got a replay. Unfortunately, I've wound it back a little too far, so we're going to have to wait here a moment to catch up. But yeah, Paul Gray has come into the pit lane to repair damage for an instant that we are about to see. While you were there, did Paul say why he was happy behind? Was he maybe trying to fuel save?
He was happy keeping position. He seen himself as similar pace to Aidan. He was happy to stay where he was. I think he didn't want to make a move in case he ruined both the races, but then he's ruined his own anyway, so it's irrelevant.
He runs wide and then loses the rear end, spinning into the wall, unfortunately.
You can't blame me for that. That's a Paul O'Grady issue. That's not a me issue.
Maybe he'll have to join the comms box after the race and we can judge a little bit later. But we actually have a battle here for P2. For Toy has got up to the back of Matthias and is looking to the inside of the curved grande. Might get themselves in front, but Matthias has got the inside for the second chicane here.
Is the both too wide through? Is there enough room left? There is. And Fatoy has got the move done. Is that Ben Law back in the mix as well?
It is indeed. Looking to the inside now of Desmo 2, trying to follow through. Bit of bumping. Matthias nearly pushed onto the grass by the number 34 car, but luckily avoids any instant. And yeah, tough lap for Matthias so far, dropping 2 places down to 4th. But we have a yellow flag. It's just cars entering the pits, it seems. Thank you very much, Kim.
Let's hope they've stuck to the limit. We don't want to see any drive-throughs. Ben Law doing, I'm assuming, looking at the front of his car, he has some damage, and obviously we've seen the incident he had. He's doing well considering the damage to make the time back up to be even fighting for his old place.
Is indeed. Let's see. Last lap time for Ben Law was a 132.3, which was actually slower than for Toys and Matthias's laps, but them running side by side helped them close up. Of course, traffic is starting to play its part too. Vespera is a 134.5 compared to the 31s we're used to seeing, and Ben Law's actually got a run here on for Toy, looking to the inside of Curve Grande. He's trying to retake that P2 they lost when he had to go round the crashing Jarrett Page. Braking now for the second chicane, has tried to get the move done, loses rear end a bit and has to cut the second chicane. Will really have to give that place up. but actually Matthias is now trying to take advantage of this and get to the inside of Furtoy. I have the second Esmo. Furtoy has held on to P3, and I think Ben Law is trying to slow up a little bit to let Furtoy through, but it's going to be difficult to not let Matthias through as well, as they're in the slipstream of both these drivers.
It looked like Ben Law, he went a bit, going into the chicane, it looked like Furtoy locked up a bit, and I think Ben Law had bailed on the corner just to stop himself from being hit. As we see the Ferrari pausing traffic, which means Furtoy has another run, as has Oquidon in the background too. And is that Harkonnen just coming through as well?
Yes, Harkonnen has joined the back of this battle to make a four-way train. Ben Law is back up to the second place they were before that instant we mentioned. They did hit the wall, so they will have some damage, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them too much. They've sort of got accustomed to it, and now Matthias is trying to come back at Furtoy, try and retake the final podium position. It's going to be 3 wide with the Aston Martin GT3 as they head into the Curve Grande, right outside, nearly touching, but Matthias getting third place back. Can Furtoy mount an attack back into the chicane? No, we'll have to sell down for now. Wide for Ben Law. Might compromises their exit, but Matthias not able to take advantage of it, though another Mustang GT3 coming up and could throw a spanner in the wrench for this battle. Furtoy running wider into the gravel, locking their brakes is Harkonnen, and they go for a slight spin. They've gathered the car back up amazingly, and they'll hold on to the back of this train.
Wow, Harkonnen has done incredibly well to keep that somewhat straight. 4 cars here battling for position, and it looks like Max Farrell approaching from the rear as well. I'll be honest, when we set these series up, we were worried about the LMP2s, thinking are they not going to have some good racing, but it's turned out all right, to be fair. As we've seen, Max Farrell, there's Harkonnen. Max Farrell was at the back. You can't really see him much anymore, but we'll see if he makes his way down. More GT3 traffic coming. The LMP2 should clear those GT3s on the straight. As we see Paul Prescott doing some celebratory donuts a bit early.
They were fighting with Nazarian for P2 in the class. We'll try and get a replay here once it loads. You can see Prescott. Trying to tell which one of these is Prescott.
Prescott's in the Corvette. Just too much curb, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, gets the car.
Sorry, go ahead, Scotty.
It gets the car rotated very well from facing the wrong way to retake position. Don't worry about that. So yeah, good recovery from Prescott. So they'll hold on to P3 within the class. Tim Bob in 4th behind them. But yeah, not an ideal time loss as they were fighting for P2.
No, Prescott, who I know personally, will be not happy with himself at that mistake. He'll be getting back wound up. He hasn't raced for a while, so he still can't complain at P3, 5 positions up from his qualifying. As we see the leader of the GT3s come into the pits, I assume not taking tyres, trying to get as much fuel to get in the end of the race, which leaves Nazarian leading the GT3 category until he will need to make his own pit stop, which after Prescott's spin, there's no chance of an undercut. Nazarian will be comfortable behind Rooney should everything go their way. And as we see in the chat, Domo the Russian talking about too much sausage, talking about the curb. As the Wednesday series know, we know the drivers love a bit of sausage. Sadly for Prescott, it's not the case. As we see Brendan Rooney come back out, sticking to the correct side of the pit lane. I assume that is a lapped Ferrari.
That is Brian Anderson passing for P6 within the class. I think what's interesting, that was a 26.5 second pit stop for Rooney, which these GT3s on a normal track, your average track, we maybe need to save 1 or 2 laps of fuel to complete a 50-minute race. Okay, Monza here with the Curva Grande that especially might need to save a couple more laps, but that should theoretically only be about 4 laps of fuel that these drivers would need to put in if they're making a pit stop. 26 seconds is a lot, so I'm wondering if there maybe has been a change of tyres there. Remember, 5 seconds to change 2 tyres, 12 seconds to change all 4, but with matter of fact, they're already trying to pass the Ferrari of Anderson. They wouldn't be doing that if they did have new and obviously cold tyres, so...
I wonder if Rudy's just overfueled. Can we see the virtual energy, or is that not possible?
Let's see here. No.
Let's not break anything, but no, we can.
Unfortunately, we will see the hypercar energy. We will not see the GT3 energy. Why not? I don't know. Ask the Mon Ultimate devs. But we have more cars coming into the pits within the LMP2 class. Vesparis and Farrell into the pits now. They'll need to take a bit more fuel in the LMP2s, which are limited to closer to 40 minutes than 50 minutes.
Yeah, bit of a snap as well from Vrispa's coming out there because his tyres will cool down. Dropped him to 6th in class, but he seemed pretty comfortable at the front unless something drastic happens, and I'm not trying to curse him. He should retake the lead when the others decide to pit. But yeah, with Rooney, I think he's literally just overfueled. I can't see anything else he's done wrong.
And actually, he's been repassed by Anderson for P6. So, despite having led this race comfortably so far, Anderson's not going to make it easy for the Porsche driver. As they come out the second last mode, big wobble low off the curb for Anderson, and the LMP2 getting involved as well. A couple of wheels onto the gravel for the Porsche as it tries to get into the slipstream towards the Ascari chicane. Are they going to be close enough for a move here? No, they're going to have to back out and wait another time, and also worry about the LMP2, which will be trying to pass on the exit.
That's worked out brilliantly for Leon Vespris, because that was Max Farrell behind. Not too far, but the GT3 traffic has put a bit more time between them.
This is Ben Law, who has made their pit stop, coming through the first Lesmo, losing the rear end and going for a spin. Backs it up into the gravel and will get going again.
No damage, but the damage to the tyres will not be nice. His steering wheel down the straight will feel like a pneumatic drill as the game glitches and he goes into the nether region. But Ben Law, great pace. He's not had much luck, Ben. I assume he hasn't fixed the damage he got from the Ascari incident.
He might have. We're starting to see pit times for the LMP2s. Aiden Hart stopped at 6.7 seconds. That's the shortest pit stop we've seen so far. Leader Vesparis 21.4, but Ben Law 32.3, so a good 10 seconds longer. We maybe suggest that they have repaired that damage, but yeah, we'll have to see how that works out when...
You said 6 seconds for Aiden?
6.7 seconds, yes.
Right, Aiden is either a genius or a dunce, and again, time will tell, but I don't think the 6-second pit stop is enough.
Well, it does also say in the pit stops column a 2. So, another snap there for Ben Law.
His car does not look a happy vehicle. It's napping on him whenever it gets the chance. He's still doing well in P6, but it's whether he can keep it on the road. It looks a bit broken at the front. He's clearly not having a great time in it. It'd be interesting to see, does he come in and repair, or does he just stick it out?
We'll have to see. We'll follow him here and try and get his last lap.
There we go. Up. He's done well to keep his rear wing, but I think that answers our question. He's going to have to come in pit. I can't see any other way for him to continue.
Yeah, I don't think that was skill, but rather just luck that that rear wing didn't pop off directly in the barrier. I think it stalled the car as well, waiting to restart it. But a difficult time here for Ben Law, who was up in second place. Obviously had that moment avoiding Jarrett Page, dropped to fourth, got themselves back up to P2. But since their pit stop, it has all gone disastrously wrong, and it will be a second trip through pit lane to repair their damage. Quite a shame for Ben Law, but still 7 more rounds to come. Hopefully they'll be able to fight back for the rest of the series.
And that is the beauty, but also the pain of racing. People think it's all about pace. It's not. Sometimes it's race management. Sometimes it's sheer luck. Ben Law was extremely unlucky at that Ascari incident. Clearly fast enough to be at the front, but sometimes the race just doesn't go your way. As we watch, Nazarian he's got Aidan Howard just behind him. The Corvette in front. I assume all this is lap traffic because
that is Prescott just in front by a second. And Prescott pulling a little bit of a gap at the moment. Lapped car behind in the Aston GT3, but they'll look at the last laps. Prescott was actually nearly half second quicker than Nazarian, so extending that gap, but the slipstream will help in the Ferrari's favour to maybe try and pull it back up to the Corvette, as yes, the gap has noticeably closed a little wider for Prescott as the car just wiggling wide of the apex curb. A lot of apex curb used on the third apex there for the Ferrari. Could easily see the car being flung into the wall, taking that much curb, but keeps under control, though has lost them some momentum as the Aston behind is thinking about a pass, but ultimately being a lap down isn't going to do so, as we have Mark Bryson into the wall and losing their rear wing.
Yeah, see, Bryson's going to have to be careful. We all know what happens when that rear wing goes. And as we watch the replay,
yeah, so it happened at the still early stage of the lap, into sort of the middle sector, cleanly through the chicane. But what will happen then into Lasmo 1? It just loses the rear end and stolen by the Ferrari.
I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, but the Ferrari just seeing the Porsche spun and not quite able to avoid it, and said, right, I'm just going to nick your rear wing, have fun without it. It's, sabotage.
Yeah, I was thinking, how has he lost his rear wing? He's nowhere near the wall, but the Ferrari stole it. In the chat, is it T Shanks or TS Hanks, however your name is pronounced? Thank you for the follow. As we watch Brayson crawl his way around, because as we know, you can't go at any speed without a rear wing. That is just pure unluckiness, is what that is. Like, oh, is your wheel missing?
That front left is skidding along the ground.
He had like, it didn't look that big of an incident. Am I seeing things?
We'll see as he turns round the corner here. Yeah, that wheel's missing. That's an empty.
Yeah, he's turned his Porsche into a Reliant Robin, and he's now going to have to try and get across this track to get into the pits, which he's successfully done. But I didn't see his wheel go off in that incident. Did you?
No, he must have lost that while we were looking at the replay. So yeah, concerning return to the pits for Mark here, missing a tyre and a rear wing. That's quite a bit of a Porsche that's missing, overshoots the pit box as well, understandably so with how much of the car is missing. But yeah, tough day for Porsche driver. But again, as we mentioned earlier, 7 rounds to go. A lot of time to try and turn the championship around for them. Currently, at the moment, as we let's have a little look towards the LMP2 class for a moment.
Leon looks very comfortable. That is not Harkonnen behind. No, there's Harkonnen 2 cars back, who still hasn't made a stop. The closest car that has made a stop is Max Farrell. Leon looks very comfortable. Great drive, what more can be said. He had some people close to him, Harkonnen and Upwardon, but they haven't been as consistent, if we're being honest.
T. Shankson, is there hypercars? No, we just have LMP2s and GT3s. No hypercars. That will, I assume, come at a later point for our academy drivers once they've got to grips with the game a little bit more. And we'll bring in the hybrid element. As it's a spin for Paul Prescott, and he's missing the front left tyre.
It is. Oh, I'm assuming he's had a big bit of contact. Let's have a look at this.
As we wait patiently for the replay to load.
He has all 4 wheels here. Oh, too much speed. Back end. That is a big old crash. I lost count of spins. Yeah, that was not nice. He's managed to get turned round, thankfully. Thankfully, the tyre was off the track, because if anyone's watching and hasn't played LMU yet, doesn't know, if any of the cars hit that tyre, it's going to create a nasty bump. But Prescott has got back to the pits. It's a shame, but as we've seen, pace isn't everything. You need consistency too.
Yeah, you do need consistency indeed. We swap here to Tim Bob. Well, we have pit stops. Anderson in front, apparently still yet to make a pit stop. In fact, we'll switch to Rooney, who's caught up to Bruce. Rooney still sort of leading the way for those who have pitted. Has to make their way around the Fry, who's not going to let them go easily. He's going to have to wait for another opportunity. Fry running a little bit wide through the Ascari chicane, which is going to give Rooney the momentum here on the exit. Grabs a bit more slipstream and then pulls to what will be the outside of the Parabolica. Let's see, Frank, looks like they might just sort of lift off and let the Porsche have the move here, as they know they're serving 2 different races, but the Porsche still going in a little bit deep and giving up a little bit of time. But with how sort of far back the next driver that's pitted, which is Tim Bob at the moment, I'm sure they're not too worried about losing a little bit of time here.
What is interesting is Nazarian was comfortably in P2, but Tim Bob, who has pitted as well, has leapfrogged him. I'm wondering if Nazarian's pit stop was longer, but...
Oh, it was. It was.
Oh,
34 seconds versus 9 for Tim Bob. That's a big difference between pit stops.
Yes. I can imagine I'm going to have an inbox of Nazarian asking for a breakdown of the pits, which, if I'm honest, I'm not the best person to ask, because I am a chronic overfueler myself. But yeah, that is a huge difference, and it's costing P2. Well, net P2, let's just say, because Bruce still hasn't pitted. Just to answer in the chat as well, T Shanks, the races this evening are 50 minutes long. This is our Academy series. This series is for drivers who are new to LMU. Your SimGrid rating has to be low enough for you to be able to enter this series. We will put the Discord, well, the Discord link there is in chat. If you want any more information on it, come and join us. Ask in the chat, and yeah, if you fancy racing, come along with us.
I will just say, this information on your screen when ground pit stops in LMP2, don't think that's quite to be believed. We did see Paul O'Grady into the pits, and it was saying 0 pit stops for them there. So we'll switch to these gaps, which is getting a little bit interesting. Matt Hagen is trying to close up on Davies for P6, and it's also closing in at the front. We'll see here, no move for them too, but Otto Harkonnen chasing down Vesper's last lap. Gained 2/10 did Harkonnen on the leader. Let's see what the difference are. Is looking to the inside, getting onto the grass, trying to pass the Mustang.
Oh, and that's let Harkonnen through.
Well, they've got alongside, but it's going to be a drag race towards the Curve Grande. They're going to both have to pass the Ferrari GT3, and actually Harkonnen has pulled in front, but into the slipstream for Vespers. Can they get the momentum back? Maybe challenge into the chicane, or will they have to wait? Not too long in the race. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. We're going to quickly look. They're coming up in a yellow flag. It's for Aidan Hard, who's had an issue here at Curve Grande.
That looks like a blown engine.
Does indeed. We'll see on the replay here when it loads. A nice little bit of downtime where things go very peacefully.
Oh, it's blue. I've never seen that happen on this. As we see in the chat from Matt, Aiden just blew his engine, went from neutral to 6th, he says.
That is very unfortunate for Aiden.
That is it. It's a shame, but it's funny at the same time, I'll be honest. What's nuts is I thought Vespers was in comfortable lead of this race, and clearly he wasn't. 2 more racing laps.
Yeah, unfortunately we haven't got the pit stop time.
Oh, Vespers has spun.
Our previous race winner spins at Parabolica, luckily avoids the wall, but is going to lose plenty of time. Luckily for them, they had quite a gap to Matthias behind. Not enough, that's P2 lost. How far back is Farrell? They're luckily like another 7 seconds back. So down to 3rd place. Vespers bring it home, secure the podium, but it will not be the win.
Oh, and as in the chat we've asked, can we have a look at the GT3's timetable? See what is going on down there?
Ask and you may receive. Quite a bit more spread out in the GT3 pack. I think sort of differing strategies has caught people out. As big lock up for Vespers. They're really struggling, slowing down not to get a too much of a track warning. I have curiosity, how many track points are the drivers allowed before they get drive-through tonight?
What is it, 50? I'm assuming it will be 6 points in total, depending on the severity of the track cut, depending on how many points you get. But I can't see anyone getting a drive-through.
It has just come up. There's been a penalty given to Fertoy. We don't know what for, but it did come up in the top left that they do have a penalty.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm just being proved wrong on everything tonight, Anna. I'm saying this can't happen, and it happens. Not Aiden in the chat. Guess who inadvertently found neutral, shift up to first. He's went from 6 to neutral to first.
Do not recommend that. I'm guessing you find your neutral button on your steering wheel. If you don't know, on LMU you can lock the car from going into neutral unless you hit a certain specified button that you've binded, and Aiden's accidentally pressed that, then gone up to first. Realistically, you haven't pressed that button. You need to pull in the clutch and then go through the gears while you're holding the clutch. We're seeing quite a few people coming into the pits here at the end of the race. I'm trying to figure out who's coming in for stops.
The time had a stop-go, which to me says he sped in the pit lane at some point.
Potentially?
Or either that, or he stopped for a dash of fuel and he hasn't done his penalty yet. Yeah, that's what it looks like. There's a lot of splashing and dashing here. Is that Harkonnen who's in the pits as well?
Nope.
Oh no, it's another blue LMP2. But Harkonnen is just about to come round and take the win here.
He is indeed. He wasn't necessarily the quickest driver, but he kept it clean, avoided any instance in carnage, made no mistakes, and will see themselves waving out of the parabolica to take the first win of the SimHound Academy on the Mon Ultimate as they weave down the start finish straight. Matthias will take second place in the LMP2 class, and Vesparas, despite being the quickest driver here, will have to settle for P3. Let's have a little work. I think Rooney has already finished crossed the line as we were watching the LMP2s. So Rooney will take the win. Have Tim Bob in second and Nazarian coming across the line for P3 in that class, followed by Basker in P4.
Great finish for Basker considering his Austin Powers impersonation at Ascari, which lost him a lot of time, and as you see, his bonnet looks like a crisp packet with the amount of folds in it. Great result from him. Great result from Nazarian and Tim Bob. Brendan Rooney, I kind of expected to win tonight because I know what he's like as a driver. The biggest shock, though, has been Vespris in control of the race for so long and fell apart. Not sure if he had any. He's probably going to have a million excuses. I know Leon quite well, but he fell apart. He did.
Yeah, Aiden just confirming that I was correct with what I said, and him accidentally Aiden finding their neutral button, and Raz saying at least Aiden went out in a blast. But yeah, and Shanks asking if there's any Astons. We do have a few Astons. None in the top 5, unfortunately, but we'll see them as go down the order. Wait and see if that is everyone finished, which I believe it is. Let's just see. Norman Bruce.
Norman Bruce still driving, but I think has finished.
I think they have finished. So, with that, we can now hopefully bring up the session results here.
Oh, here we are.
That doesn't.
Do you want to take the lead, Scotty?
Hang on a sec. That doesn't look quite right.
So Harkonnen Fest, Ockwood second, Vespers third, Farrell fourth, Hagen fifth. That's all correct. The rest, or O'Grady sixth, Davies seventh, Fatoy eighth, Hunter ninth, and Dean Smith 10th.
Let's see then.
Yep. Then Fusigan 11th, Aidan Howard 12th with his spectacular DNF. Jarrett Page 13th, Ollie Knowles 14th with a DNF. Ben Law sadly DNF after what was looking like a promising race at the start, and Terry Williams also with a DNF.
Okay, and then we will have.
And then you can take the GT3, Scotty.
Yeah. Rooney, we take the win 1 lap in front, doing an extra lap compared to Tim Bob, and he'll take second. And Nazarian making it 3 manufacturers in top 3 in Ferrari for the final podium spot. Basker with Mustang in P4 ahead of Anderson in Ferrari in P5. Olaf Badage in 6th and Aston Martin. Norman Bruce taking P7. Ben Might 8th. Nathan Turner 9th, Max Savick getting the final podium place, which I think they'll be disappointed in, having qualified P3 within the GT3 class. Let's look to the second page. Paul Prescott just missing out in top 10, having that instant towards the end. Mark Bryson also having issues, as well as Ian Holder. Jack Watson finishing 14th, and Noel Dodgen being disqualified in this race. And yeah, that is our GT3 finishing order.
It is quite an eventful first race of the new academy. It's been funny at times. It's been exciting. There was some great racing, especially from the LMP2s. Hopefully, this is what's to come for the season. We can carry on with this.
Yes, it was very interesting, as you'd maybe expect with the Academy series and drivers with not as much experience. Quite a few mistakes up and down the grids. Even from maybe quicker drivers that you wouldn't expect as many mistakes from, like Vespaz, losing out from the leads to fall down to P3, kept it quite eventful throughout the race.
Yeah. As we've seen, if anybody watched the last Wednesday series, which was ACC and GT3, Vespers was under lots of pressure from Petr Jelinek and kept it together. I have an inbox from him which I can't read at the moment, but he's probably got one of his excuses, has Leon. It wasn't his night tonight, but he has shown he has the pace to lead the LMP2 field. You've just got to dust yourself off and go again, which the next race, quite enough, is Bahrain, but the outer circuit.
Oh, lovely
Which,
circuit that.
yeah, again, a bit like Monza. Lots of straights, a couple of corners. I think it's a day race in Bahrain as well, so the temperatures will be interesting. And just to answer in the chat, Raz JC, is there any spaces left to join? I think this championship is full at the moment, but if you join the Discord and inquire, we do have a reserve list, and if people don't show up for whatever reason, we will put reserves in their place. So join the Discord. I'll get the link put in the chat for you, and just come along and ask.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, back to you, Scott. You talk about Bahrain because I know you've driven it a lot more than I have.
Yeah, Bahrain, our circuit's nice. It's not too complex, shorter lap, so should sort of kind of like Monza, not too many corners, should be easy to learn for our academy drivers, but plenty of straights as well, so should be racing action very similar to what we seen tonight, though maybe not quite as difficult on the fuel. Maybe we'll see GT3s can definitely go 50 minutes here, but it requires 2 laps of fuel saving. So definitely will be quicker. Can they do it? Well, we'll have to see next week. And also to go through the rest of the calendar that we have for this season. Third round is at Le Mans. Oh, always got to love Le Mans. Then we have, after that, Spa. Before we go to Fuji Classic without the chicane.
Kind of Fuji Classic is a wet race.
Ooh,
There will be some wet weather there. Repeating the F1 final between James Hunt and
Nicky Lauda
Niki
in
Lauda.
70. No, it wasn't 76, was it?
He's me trying to sound informative, and it just caught my tongue. But again, repeating the weather of there, we're hoping to have some heavy rain there, which will make it interesting. And then there's Quarter National. I've never driven that track, whereas I know you have, Scotty.
The less said, the better. Let's leave it at that.
And then what's next after that?
Then there's Sebring. The drivers will have to master the bumps, and that is the normal Sebring, before we head back to Bahrain for the final, this time on the normal GP layout.
Yep, I think that is a night race, that one. So again, temperatures will be interesting. Got to keep the heat up in your tyres. Bahrain on a night can be tricky, but a good mixture of circuits for this series. Lots of different types of circuits. As I said, we've got some rain shot in there as well. And I don't think there's any clear winners because, as we've seen, the faster guys can make mistakes. So hopefully it stays competitive till the end.
Yeah, hopefully it does. and yeah, it'll be interesting to see who does what and strategies. Certainly, more options you could say for GT3s, having to fuel save to make the 50 minutes. LMP2s, unlikely we'll see them fuel save and make it to the end. We'll see pit stops from them. But yeah, you still got to get your pit stop right. We did see a few people sort of fumble that and spending a little too long in their pit box, maybe getting too friendly with their mechanics.
Yeah,
But yes.
RIP Nazarian. Lost P2 because he spent too long in the pits.
Yeah, all things for them to learn, which is the exact point of the SimHound Academy. But that's not the only thing we have in Season 3 of oNiD. We have more racing continuing tomorrow. We have the start of our iRacing British oNiD 4 Series. 7 races around some great British tracks, and then a finale around the magnificent Spa. So yeah, join me and Aidan tomorrow for that, if you haven't had enough of me already between today and yesterday. On Sunday, we return to the Mon Ultimate for our our big series, the 100 series. 100-minute races throughout that series. Talk about the GT3 strategies for these 50-minute races. Well, just imagine it as two 50-minute races. Do you change tyres? Good question. That will have hypercars as well, as you'd expect in a main WEC series. So should be some great multi-class and strategic action on Sundays. Then we get to what will be second week of our GT3 festival. All GT3s action-packed, somewhat similar to ACC, 65-minute races. Then on Mondays. And on Tuesdays, on the original South course, we have our JCW Mini World Tour going on at the moment. We had the first round of that yesterday at Sydney Motorsports Park. It was absolutely magnificent. 3 short 15-minute races, the third of which being reverse grid. Great action. Next round is at Falkenberg next week, and then we'll be back for the SimHound Academy again next Wednesday at Bahrain Eider. Dave, before we go, do you have any last words for us?
You've absolutely said everything that was on my mind, if I'm honest. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. I know it's fun racing, but sometimes it's great to watch as well. And it's great seeing the drives in the academy coming on. A lot of them are new to this game. There's a lot of learning, as you said. We've seen from some pit stops tonight taking longer, some people not having quite control of the newer cars. But as we progress through the weeks, we will see them improve. It's good to watch, and I hope the people watching enjoy it too, because sometimes it's nice to be on the other side, if you get me, instead of racing. Which, speaking of the Monday series, if you want to watch me and Scotty race, come to the Monday stream and watch us, because we both take part in that ourselves. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the series. I've really been looking forward to the change to LMU, and it's proven to be eventful.
Yeah, it is something fresh. I've been really enjoying it, which is why I'm not doing just Mondays, but Sundays as well. I'm looking forward to that 100 series. I done one 100-minute race already, and when Johnny said, "Oh, we'll do 90 minutes for Sundays," I was like, "No, please do 100. It'll just be that much more interesting." And thankfully, he obliged. So yeah, I'm personally really looking forward to that. And yeah, as you say, it's also great to be on the other side, as I have been a few times recently. Yeah, it's also great to see people's journeys, people learning throughout this. Because another thing we didn't really mention is also the virtual energy, something unique to LMU. You'll have to twist your head around. But of course, when we bring in hypercars, there'll be the hybrid to learn as well. So a lot of learning to do, but no better place to do it than here in the SimHound Academy. Thank you very much, Dave, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me. One last thing before we go, I just want to laugh one more time at Aidan Howard for blowing his engine up, because that was spectacular. But thank you for having me, Scotty.
I have to join Aidan tomorrow, so I'm not going to laugh at him too much. But yes, we will be back tomorrow with our iRacing oNiD 4 series. Hopefully you can join us then. If not, hopefully you can join us for some of the other series as we mentioned. Until then, thank you all very much for joining us, and we will see you then. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.